Last but not least, repetition. If I want you to get something that I'm talking about, I'm going to repeat it a bunch of times. Or, if I want you to feel a different way each time I repeat something, I'm going to have a natural progression. Well, part of that structural variation is going to get at, again, which words are emphasized. Word choice. Remember, our words are holding more emotional mood than they would in normal prose. And so emphasizing these certain words with structural variation like rhythm, rhyme, and repetition is ultimately going to bring forward everything that you want to say and communicate your purpose. But wait a minute. Not all of our words are literal. We have things that add emotional color. Emotions are very complicated, and so they're often not able to be put into little tiny, neat little boxes. And so we have to get our ideas and our feelings and our emotions to an audience in a very different way. We use what's called imagery. Imagery, images, pictures that we can put in our readers' heads that allow them to maybe feel what we're feeling, but in their own special way. See, when I put an image in your head, like I say, dog, you're picturing a dog, but you might be picturing a different dog than I'm picturing, than that person's picturing, than that person's picturing. Each person has a very personal image that they supply based on the words that you give them as an author. Hence, poetry is easier to connect to an audience if you create these images that allows the reader to supply most of the meaning for themselves. That's why two people can read the same poem and get something completely different out of it, because it becomes personalized. But not all imagery is literal. We have a literal image in Sound of Silence of this guy on a cobblestone road alone. It's bad weather, it's nighttime, it's dark, it's cold, it's damp. We've got a very literal image, and that gives us some feelings. But it doesn't just stop there. We've got other images. We've got things like symbolism. We've got things like simile, metaphor, onomatopoeia, these things that create images that maybe aren't direct images, but that represent symbolism. Or that, by comparison, simile and metaphor, by comparison to another image that you have in your head, you now have an understanding of my emotions and my image in my head. Or, with onomatopoeia, you have a sound that creates a specific picture. To go back to that dog reference, you hear woof, and you have a specific picture in your head. You hear wee-oo, wee-oo, wee-oo. You hear a specific picture. Or you see a specific picture when you hear that. You hear doodly-doodly-doo, dee-doo, 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 doo. You, in your head, Mr. Softy, Ice Cream Man. But you have a different reaction to that based on what you hear. And you put a different image in your own head as you're reading from the page. Specific sound words. So that's where the emotional color comes in. Think about I'm just going to pick one, I'm going to pick simile, but all of these really do this. But with simile, we were talking about silence like a cancer grows. Well, could I say silence grows really slowly and can be dangerous? Sure, but is it as powerful as the image of cancer is? That was really personal to me, and I know cancer has touched really everybody, no matter who you are. And you get this image. Cancer is this thing that grows very slowly. So slowly that you almost don't even notice it's there until it becomes a real issue or it becomes too late. Well, then if you want to remove that cancer, have you seen what it does to the body? The person loses tons of weight, they look sick, they look pale, they lose their hair. It's a really painful experience to rid the body of that cancer. Well, now we've got a very clear picture of what that silence is doing to Paul Simon and how he feels about that silence. Because we've talked about it. There's a difference in the silence that you feel when you blow out all your air and you sink to the bottom of a pool and you're the only one in it and there's sun shining through and you can't hear anything. It's just silent, peaceful. That's very different than the silence that you feel when all of a sudden all the lights go out in the house and it's dark. Very different silence, right? So to convey what he's feeling as a result of this silence, he compares it to cancer growing. Ugh, just gives you the willies. It contributes to the overall main idea that this silence was catastrophic for everybody when Kennedy was assassinated. Images creating a clearer understanding of the author's purpose and main idea, allowing for a connection to occur. Again, are you seeing the themes? So we've got all of these things, but we also have one extra little kind of addition. If you want to think of this as a house, this is the foundation, this is the structure, the framing. The emotional color is like the paint. You have a very different emotional reaction to what the outer appearance of this one is versus this one. Rhythmic appeal is kind of like special lighting, where it focuses on different things. Maybe we've got street lamps in front. That's a very different feel than if we've got floodlights in front, or if we've got those searchlights that kind of wing around, right? These rhythmic appeals, okay, they're consonants, assonance, alliteration. Now, we didn't spend too much time on these because mostly they're not used once we get to mature poetry. They're more used by poets like Edward Lear or Dr. Seuss and Dr. Seuss is even really more of a storyteller who uses poetic devices. But when you talk about Shel Silverstein and you talk about guys like that and girls like that who really write for a younger audience, but it's valid to talk about them. You've got the repetition of consonant sounds, vowel sounds, and consonant sounds at the beginning of words to draw attention to specific words. Again, word choice being emphasized by how it's being written. We looked at 3 specific examples. Consonants, we had the trick that kicked butt was when the chick clicked her heels. So you've got that k sound coming through, and it's drawing attention to certain words, which you'll see in the teacher notes that I posted yesterday. Same thing, the moose got loose and spilled my juice, it was not too cute. Because it's fun to say, and because we get caught up in the sounds, specific words are emphasized. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? All those P's at the beginning of the words draws attention. And again, you notice that these are kind of little kid type things that are going on, but they still draw emphasis, and it's still okay to use them here and there as a mature poet trying to express deep, meaningful emotions. And remember, that's what we're going for. Not just, football is fun. I like football and friends. Friends play football with me. Football sure is fun, isn't it? That's a first grader's poem, right? They don't really have a depth to their emotion, but you guys are real people now. Think of Macklemore's My Oh My, and think of how just that one, I like baseball. I have a baseball memory. All of that unlocked the relationship with his father, the smells that he remembers, the tastes of the sunflower seeds as he's spitting them, the look of his dad's mitt, how he taught him, and then moving past that into, okay, yeah, but that stuff of my childhood and my past, I have to use that, but I have to move forward and live life to its fullest. Now that's deep meaning. That's deep meaning. And that's what I'm going for here. Tomorrow you're going to get the chance to use these structural variations. But remember that overall, your goal is to convey your author's purpose and main idea to an audience who is going to, through your traits of writing and your process and your word choice and all of that good stuff, is going to attempt to understand and eventually connect. Right? That's your goal. Hopefully you stuck with me with this. Thank you so much. Tomorrow's a work day. I'm excited to see what you guys can produce. Take care, guys. See you tomorrow.